Why is a good intro for the JK in a YouTube video? I sound JK, but I'm not joking around. Hey, you're rolling a JK, it's not, it's just kicking, just kinda awesome. That's trash. Hey, I'm JK, creating stories, not just content. Nah. Yo, it's JK, and we're keeping it real today. Hey, I'm JK, your shortcut to learning with a twist. Whatever. Ugh. I have been trying to find a good intro, and honestly, I have no idea what works and what I like. So I thought about, hey, it's JK, but my husband informed me that there's a gamer YouTuber who does that intro already. So I don't want to harsh his vibe or anything. So welcome, I'm JK if you haven't figured it out already. Today is going to be a quick one because I'm still detoxing from my study abroad. My friends and family honestly aren't that sick of me telling stories from my study abroad, but I'm kind of sick of it, which is kind of funny because I'm the one that had this amazing experience and I want to move on with my life. Ironic. It was only a week ago, but the trip was so much fun and I got to make so many art pieces and see so many art pieces before I got to work on the real artwork that is required for the class of my study abroad. I decided to make these little miniature paintings of pictures I've taken on my trip just for me. So the study abroad I went to was through my university, and it was focused specifically on photography and how photography influenced the art movement of Impressionism, of which I found really cool. If you don't know much about history, I highly recommend doing some research into it. But to summarize, a bit of history for you. Photography was invented by a number of guys, but the funniest reason was Talbot's, because his inability to draw. He was so mad about it that he found ways around it using science and his big boy brain to capture the way light reacts to chemically dipped surfaces, and bing bada boom, the start of photography was invented. Now, as photos were starting to get some traction and popularity, realistic paintings were on their way out, because who wants a painting that's almost accurate when you can have an exact copy photo that's completely accurate? So this made painters needing to change it up a bit. Word of preface, photography wasn't the only reason that painters stepped away from realism, but it was a good motivator. This is where you get Monet, Renoir, Marisol. They painted more with brush strokes and wanted to capture form and how light reacts with form more than the realism that was in front of them. Instead of grand portraits and coronation scenes, they painted everyday people in everyday life. And soon, Impressionism was known and brought to light as another movement inspiring other artists to change tactics just so they can sell their artwork. Then it branches to post-Impressionism with Van Gogh and Cubism with Picasso. Impressionism was a key step of branching out of the real and bringing artists' unique view of the world on canvas, and they were also able to get paid for it. Okay, history lesson over. But for the study abroad, we visited key places around UK and France, such as Laycock Abbey. Laycock Abbey? I'm going to say Laycock because that sounds a bit better. Laycock Abbey, where Talbot lived and studied his work. Niepce's house, another fodder of photography, where the first photograph was actually taken. We also visited Claude Monet's garden, where a lot of his beautiful works were created. Students of all different areas were invited, such as sculptors, painters, illustrators, and obviously photographers. It was a grand time, and honestly, all of us got along super well, considering that there were 16 girls together on a trip for 3 weeks straight. There surprisingly was not a lot of drama, and it was fantastic. The first painting I wanted to make was the Eiffel Tower because the Eiffel Tower actually is a great symbol of my love for France. I have lived in France for a year. I loved it. I speak French. I have embraced the croissants and the accent and the love for the bluntness of French people. And so I took this gorgeous photo of the Eiffel Tower on our last day of the study abroad. And so this will forever memorialize the wonderful trip that I was able to take. I definitely channeled my inner impressionism and definitely used a lot of tactics that I learned on the trip to this miniature painting. A professor of mine told me to study specifically on to notice how the light reacts with form, and that is a major characteristic of Impressionism. So it worked out perfectly. I'm applying the knowledge that I know. The second painting I decided to make was of Big Ben. This was a big day for me as well. I've already traveled to London, I've already seen Big Ben, but for some reason that day, it kind of hit me that I was actually living my dream. I was accomplishing my bucket list right then and there, and I was doing a study abroad in Europe. That was a dream of mine when I was a kid, and I've always wanted to do it. And so it was about, I want to say, a week into our trip, and I was drawing next to the river, and I was seeing this gorgeous view of Big Ben. The light was almost perfect, so I took a picture, and now I'm making a tiny little painting of it as I channel my inner impressionism. But I love doing miniature paintings. I think these were a great way to reintroduce me to being at home and doing art and being able to stop for less than an hour or two and actually sit down, not feel rushed to do a piece of art. I made a lot of different paintings on the trip, but I was never able to really get into depth of color and paint. We were constantly on the move, so we weren't able to actually sit down and make a painting. So this was a great reintroduction back into doing art traditionally again. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned a little something from this video, a little something about history, a little something about impressionism, and I love these little paintings so much, and they carry so many significant memories for me now, and I'm glad I went into a little bit of debt just so I could go on this trip. Like and subscribe for more videos from me and some more art-inspired things. And that's all I got.